Whether you're in North or South Carolina or anywhere else in the world, enter the Cat Cave with your guy, Ryan Frick, and Michael Davis to listen to your favorite Carolina Panthers podcast. Welcome to episode 6 of the Cat Cave, part of the Keep Pounding podcast network as a part of the Fans First Sports Network. Again, your guy, Ryan Frick. I keep wanting you to say Bully Rye for my other show here, along with Michael Davis. Michael, how's it going, man? It's been a fun week. We got the first rookie training came out the way. How's everything going, bud?
Everything is going really good for me. We were talking backstage about a couple of things. Went to Monday Night Raw. You and I both host wrestling podcasts on Wednesdays here on Tobacco Road Sports Radio, and it was good getting that time to where I can sit away from everything else and just enjoy a passion and feel that. And now we get to talk some Panther football on the Keep Pounding Podcast Network.
Yeah, I decided to be festive today and wear one of my throwback Panthers jerseys, so we can get right into it. Yeah, like I said, they had the first rookie training camp over the weekend. We got to see Bryce Young, or I say we got to see, they got to see Bryce Young in action. We saw some photos from training camp. He is wearing his college number 9. I don't think there's really anything significant to that, but they keep saying that they're going to start him off behind Andy Dalton on the depth chart. I've been on record as to say that this is all smoke and mirrors. When they get to fall camp, that's what's going to happen. It's going to flip flop. He will take over the starting job before week 1. Any thoughts on the fact that they're driving home that he is still number 2 on the depth chart?
You said it. You have to start him week 1, right? And I get, okay, you bring in a rookie. He's never played down in the NFL. He's got to earn it, right? He's got to earn his keep in the NFL. You don't want to just hand this rookie something and be like, oh, we picked you number 1. But that's essentially what you did when you traded all that draft capital to go up and pick your guy, Bryce Young, at number 1, rather than, waiting at 9 and seeing if a Stroud or a Richardson or a Levis fell your way and you decide to pick them. That's what you did when you trade up, get number 1. You thought there was a franchise guy. You're starting that guy week 1 because there's so much excitement. Whether you're in North or South Carolina, there's so much excitement. And people are going to be tuning into their cat cave every Sunday afternoon to watch the Carolina Panthers, but they're wanting to watch Bryce Young. They don't want to watch Andy Dalton.
Yeah, I would agree. I'm not really sure there's much more to say here. It's going to be his show. They've got plenty of young guys surrounding him with the veteran leadership that is on this team. Between you've got guys like Adam Thielen and of course I can't say his name, and he was my tight end, Hayden Hurst.
Yeah, that was your game talk, wasn't it?
Listen, I've been under the weather for about a week, so my brain is not all here. But I digress. There's a lot of
whoa. Are you under the weather every week now, or?
I'm not sure what that's referring to.
Okay.
But it's been rough. But nevertheless, with the veteran leadership that can help guide him as far as how he's supposed to behave. And not that he needs the help. I mean, he was a great presser guy when he was at Alabama. But he's going to get the keys to the car. This will be his program. This will be his team once we get into fall camp. Now, we talk about some, I don't want to say some new faces and new places. We don't want to talk about people they're surrounding him with. But the Carolina Panthers gave tryouts to former Gamecock greats. Listen to me. I told you, my mind's not here. Former Panther greats Ricky Prohl and Kevin Green giving tryouts to Ricky's son, Austin, and Kevin Green's son, Gavin. Kind of wanted to get your thoughts on this. I mean, I don't want to call it nepotism, but I was wondering your thoughts on giving former legends of the franchise tryouts here in 2023.
So I'm not necessarily against it. Okay. I mean, Austin Prohl, he played in the XFL and he didn't do terrible for the St. Louis Battlehawks. I mean, he had 25 catches, 200 some yards, and a touchdown in 9 weeks or so. Like,
He was really good. So, as somebody who's covered the XFL extensively on my other podcast, Austin Prohl looked great to start the year. Uh, St. Louis had back-to-back weekends to start the season where they needed miraculous comebacks in order to win those games to start off 2-0. Austin Prohl played a huge part in them. Now, again, his statistics this year weren't great: 25 catches, 223 yards, one touchdown. He did have some 2-point conversion catches worked in there. And if you're unfamiliar with the XFL, they didn't kick extra points. You had a 1-point conversion from the 2, a 2-point conversion from the 5, or a 3-point conversion from the 10. And AJ McCarron, quarterback of the St. Louis Battlehawks, looked Austin Prohl's way quite a bit this year, but his stats, I don't underwhelming to say the least. Uh, Not to
well,
mention, I mean,
mm,
their wide receiver room is pretty deep at this point. Would you correct? Would you agree?
yeah, I don't know if you caught my dog in the
No, he's
background or not.
excited about it too. He's excited about the wide receiver depth in Carolina.
It's very interesting because like you can't really, you know, yeah, 200 some yards and touchdown, 25 catches. That's underwhelming when you're posting those stats in about 10 games in the NFL. But XFL, is it really that underwhelming? And this is exactly what the XFL was made for. Like XFL was made to give these guys a second chance.
Yeah, I mean, your dog's excited about the second chance for these XFL guys. When you look over at Gavin Green, the son of Kevin Green, played his college ball. It looks like Southern Miss, and then it looks like Central Mississippi. I couldn't find a lot on Gavin Green. It looks like I've got some season highs. He had 6 tackles in the game in November of 2021. I'm looking for his career statistics. For his career, he played 28 games. He had 31 solo tackles finished with, it looks like, 52 total tackles. And looks like half a sack. I don't know exactly what this reads. Anyway, Kevin Green is one of my favorite Panthers of all time. We'll talk about that later in the show. Spoiler alert. Um,
Dude, I don't like
I know.
spoilers.
I know. Well, you just got one. Call me Paul Heyman because I'm dropping spoilers over here. Um, Kevin Green is a legend in pro football, Panthers football. I did not know that he had a son playing football. Have you seen any of this guy's work? Like, do you,
Dude,
what's your thoughts on Gavin Green coming in and trying out, coming so seemingly out of nowhere?
So when you told me about this Gavin Green guy, okay, I was like, I didn't know Kevin had a son who was playing football, so I had to look him up. And by looking him up, I saw that he played at Southern Miss as a freshman in 2017. Okay, so if you do the math, 2018, 2019, 2020, probably a senior that 2020 year, then eligibility gets away. But there's not a lot on Gavin Green. So I don't know if he got his dad's genes and just hasn't been, explored or discovered yet. It's weird. But especially like training camp, you just need bodies, mini camp bodies, preseason bodies. And then at the very end, you're cutting down to your best 53 players. I see no problem giving Prohl or Green an opportunity to make the team. Like
Yeah,
they're the second gen stars, give them a shot. And if they can't earn their way onto the roster by the end of August, then that's on them.
I mean, listen. In fairness, Gavin Green, it's hard. It's really hard to come in behind the footsteps of a legend like Michael Jordan's sons did not make it in basketball. Bronny James committed to Southern Cal, so we'll see how he looks in his year in college basketball this coming season. It's hard to follow behind somebody as the kid of a superstar. Ken Griffey Jr., Gavin and Craig Biggio come to mind from a baseball standpoint. It's going to be hard for Gavin Green to be able to remotely try to fill the shoes of his father. I don't think he's looking for it, but I will be curious to see, coming from the mind of such a brilliant defensive mind that was Kevin Green. Maybe they're sort of getting him to sort of maybe see if he wants to play, see how he plays. And if not, maybe they work him into like a coaching role. Maybe he's an assistant coach for the linebackers and he gets into coaching, because that's what Kevin Green was doing late in his career before he unfortunately passed. So I digress. A couple, like you said, new bodies. Now we talk about new bodies after the weekend of the first rookie training camp. The Panthers went out and signed 5 new players. 3, not including the tryout for Austin Proehl, 3 are former XL players who played in the XFL this past season. Linebacker / tight end, that's right, Jordan Thomas played linebacker in the XFL this season. Wide receiver Gary Jennings, also of the XFL, played again, just like Austin Proehl for the St. Louis Battlehawks. You've got a defensive end, Antoine Jackson, who also played in the XFL, and then a couple of players who have some experience either in the NFL or as an undrafted free agent. And wide receiver Marquez Stevenson out of the University of Houston. He's played a few years in the league, bouncing around different practice squads. An undrafted free agent offensive tackle B.J. Wilson played some Division II football. You talked about bodies. Do you have any expectation, more specifically the XFL guys, any expectation that these guys actually make the roster come this fall?
So I'm okay with opportunity. Why not, right? XFL, that's, and I just mentioned it a couple minutes ago, that's why you're brought into those scenarios. And if a lot of XFL players make NFL rosters this year, that's going to help the XFL tremendously. Like college players, if they go undrafted in the NFL and they can't make a team, they're going to want to go play for the XFL and prove themselves, because they're seeing that as a successful avenue. But with all that said, I don't know if you need a certain position where you need quote unquote bodies. And the one position I'm starting to lean against is wide receivers. Okay.
They've got so
Because
many rostered.
they got so many rostered. And Austin Proehl's one thing, if you want to bring it, but bringing in these additional guys like Jennings from the XFL Battlehawks, like Stevenson. I mean, because you look at that receiver room, you got Shi Smith, Damiere Byrd, Laviska Shenault, Adam Thielen. You got Jonathan Mingo. I think Thielen's going to be able to help coach these guys. He's going to serve as like a player coach almost, kind of like Udonis Haslam's done for the Miami Heat in the NBA. But, oh my gosh, man, like, there's a point where you need your rookie quarterback to get consistency with the guys who are going to be on the field.
You didn't even mention DJ Chark, who's a new addition.
And Terrace Marshall.
Yep. There's plenty of wide receivers. It's sort of surprising to me that they let Austin Proehl try out, that they've signed Gary Jennings and Marquez Stevenson for nothing more than depth. I mean, we talked about XFL players coming in, and what happens if a bunch of them sign. The Denver Broncos signed they call them former Cowboys quarterback and Bengals running back, but both played significant roles in the XFL this season. Ben DiNucci was the quarterback for the Seattle Sea Dragons, who led the league in passing.
He went to Denver, right?
Yep, the Denver Broncos signed him today, as well as running back Jaquez Patrick. And both of those guys, especially DiNucci lit it up in the XFL this year, and he's getting his chance to be the backup in Dallas at this point, obviously, or in Denver, I'm sorry. Now, what would be hilarious to me is if another Seattle quarterback came and took the job from Russell Wilson, like the Pro Bowler Geno Smith did, essentially allowing the Seahawks to move on from Russell Wilson this past season. And Russell Wilson, if he played like he did last year, going into the season, and Ben DiNucci comes out and he's able to throw bombs like he did in the XFL, I would love to see Ben DiNucci take that job from
Dude.
Russell
That
Wilson.
that would be nuts. But like going back to this receiver thing, because
Yeah,
I had to look at it and pull it up to see how many receivers there are. There's Demir Bird,
there's
DJ
like
Chark,
12. Yeah,
Gary Jennings, Terrace Marshall, Jonathan Mingo, CJ Saunders, LaVisca Chenault, Shi Smith, Marquez Stevenson, Adam Thielen. We're up to 10 now. And then we got Josh Van, Preston Williams, Derek Wright. We didn't even mention Austin Prohl, who is coming in
try it
for
out.
tryout. Like, that's like 14 receivers, man. And if you had an established quarterback, like, I'm sorry, like, I'm still beating this,
I love it
dead horse,
because
but like, come on, like, you have like Bryce Young in a pivotal year where you can win the division. You don't know like who your receivers are going to be. Like, you have Adam Thielen pretty much as your one. Jonathan Mingo should grow into a one, but he's your two right now. And then what are you going to do? Like, I'm assuming Terrace Marshall's going to be your third receiver, maybe Chark. But then, like, come on, guys. Like, are you
I'm
going to
gonna
give these
listen.
receivers enough reps to where they can actually prove themselves? Like,
Listen,
this
I'm gonna
over.
cut you off here because I don't think Mingo is your number one or your number two. I think you're
Yeah,
gonna
he
see.
is.
I'm calling it right now. First of all, this is either a make it break it year for Terrace Marshall or he'll get cut before the season starts. I think you're gonna see if Chark can get healthy and stay healthy, you're gonna see Chenault and Chark be your one and
No,
two. Well, yeah. Oh,
no,
listen. You
no,
okay?
no.
That's fine. You can disagree all you want. I'm calling for Laviska Chenault, DJ Chark to get those top two receiver spots with Thielen as your de facto number one, but he's going to be your slot receiver, right? He's going to be your guy, like the tight end blanket that. And I've already lost his name again. Hayden Hurst will be. Adam Thielen will be that security blanket at receiver for Bryce Young. Now, what I'm going to harp on for a second, because I mentioned it almost every show. If I'm nothing, I am a homer. Three of the wide receivers you called out are former Gamecocks, and Shi Smith, Demir Bird, and Josh Van. So what I would like, so my prediction is you're going to see Chenault and Chark, if they stay healthy, they're going to be your starting core receivers. Maybe throw Mingo in there too. But that's who I think is going to lead this team in receiving this coming season. Now, what I would like to see is Shi Smith take that next step and become your de facto, maybe your number three receiver, your guy that can interchange with Thielen in the slot. But I don't see Terrace Marshall being the guy that step up. I think of the receivers that came out of LSU, the better ones went elsewhere in Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson. And there's no knock on Terrace Marshall. He does something that I could never do. He's bigger than I will ever be. He's made more money than I'll ever see in my lifetime. But this is a make it or break it time. If he, especially with the 14 some odd receivers that they are either trying out or rostering right now, if Terrace Marshall does not come out and wow people in this training camp period and into fall camp, it's sort of the end of the line for him. I mean, listen, the Panthers traded their present to get their future in Bryce Young when they let go of Christian McCaffrey, and now you're going to have to see them decide, is Terrace Marshall our present and future? And if not, maybe it's time that we end that relationship. And regardless of who else is on the roster, I don't think you're going to see a guy like Gary Jennings. We talked about Austin Prohl stats. Gary Jennings in 6 games only had 11 catches for 149 yards and 3 touchdowns. He also had 6 carries, 46 yards. But
dude, if we're bringing up those stats, then Chenault didn't do much better. Like Chenault
Chenault was banged up all last year.
27 catches, 272 yards,
He
and
missed
1 touchdown.
He missed over half the season. He barely played last year.
He played 13 games last year.
And
you know
sparing,
what?
Oh, okay. No,
13 games.
Okay, so all right. He played 13 games. He played sparingly. And who did he have throwing the ball? Who did he have throwing the ball to him?
Okay, but you're going to have a rookie quarterback throwing you the ball.
And Jennings had AJ McCarron, a career backup in the NFL, starting in the XFL, throwing him passes. And I'm not listen. My point is, let's go back a second. Gary Jennings is not going to come in and take Terrace Marshall's job. I'm just
No.
saying that those are the kind of guys that are getting opportunities in Carolina right now. Now, you want to talk about Chenault playing in the NFL versus Jennings playing in the XFL, and Chenault's stats being staggeringly resemblant of Gary Jennings.
No,
Gary Jennings had a better quarterback throwing him the ball than Carolina had on the roster last
in
year.
the XFL. But my point is like your take on Chenault being like the 1 or 2 option in Carolina over Jonathan Mingo or Adam Thielen. Like that is not phrased, but that's out of pocket.
No, listen. I'm not saying that he's better than Thielen. I'm not saying that he's going to get the number 1 receiver over Thielen. Thielen is the de facto number 1. But in this offense, I don't see Thielen being the guy who's going to run the seam routes, who's going to run the deep post. Thielen is going to be mainly your slot receiver, the security blanket for Bryce Young, along with Hayden Hurst. So that's where I say you're number 1. I'm talking about your X receiver, your Z receiver, like the guys on the outside. Thielen is not going to be your deep burning wide receiver. Laviska Shenault and DJ Chark can. That doesn't mean that I think Shenault and DJ Chark are better than Thielen. Again, Thielen's old. He's declined over the last few years, but I don't see Thielen being that burner type that I'm going to catch everything you throw to me. I'm always going to be open. And again, I'm not saying that Shenault will be. What I am saying is that I think Shenault and Chark, if they can both stay healthy with a good quarterback, they can be productive 1 and 2 receivers. I mean, you threw Shenault stats at me. What do you have for Mingo?
Well, Mingo's a rookie.
My point exactly.
But here's why they picked him. Like this is the recipe. You get a rookie quarterback, your first round pick, and you put a receiver in the second round so you can have them grow together. That is your future. Young to Mingo is your future in the Carolina Panthers organization.
Dude, DJ Chark's not that old.
Dude, stop letting your Detroit guy come into this. Like DJ Chark and
Laviska. He's only 26.
Okay.
It's not like
what
he's
has he
in his
done?
30s yet.
What has he done?
He was banged up in Detroit last year. He was great. He was great in Jacksonville.
So
with freaking Blake Bortles or whoever throwing the ball down to him. He was fine. But so Jacksonville's a dumpster fire.
So you're telling me right now that you're going to put your investment into Shenault and Chark when you just told me they both have injury history and both get banged up pretty easily over Jonathan Mingo and Adam Thielen?
Listen, you're getting it twisted. I never said that Carolina is going to invest in them. I said
that's what you're doing by putting them on the field with your rookie quarterback.
If they're the ones that are going to be the best players that is going to set you up for a chance to win, then you do. How do you know that? We haven't seen him practice yet. We haven't seen him hit the field with Bryce Young yet. Again,
we've seen them hit.
Hit me Laviska Shenault stats again. Hit me. You got those stats readily available?
Yeah, I still got those.
Hit me with the stats again.
13 games.
Okay,
27 catches, 272 yards, 1 touchdown. Do you know how many touchdowns Shenault has in his entire career? 3 years.
You're again, yeah, he's only been in the league 3 years. So
how many you think?
I'm assuming 3 or 4.
Oh wow, it's actually 6. He overachieved your expectations.
You're taking this into a different direction. Laviska Shenault, you threw out his stats last year in Carolina when he had Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, no knock on PJ Walker, who was also a previous star in the XFL before COVID shut the league down. But those 3 guys were only looking for Christian McCaffrey and only looking for DJ Moore. Neither of them are there anymore. There are balls to be shared in this offense. Now, Jonathan Mingo, sure, he's a rookie. Shi Smith was a rookie a few years ago. They didn't have a quarterback to throw the ball. How do we know? How do we know or not know if all of a sudden now with a legitimate quarterback, Shi Smith can't come in and be the superstar? The same thing can be said for Terrace Marshall. The fact of the matter is, yeah, you bring in Mingo to build the rapport, to build the relationship. Hopefully, Mingo can be your future. But right now, especially if you talk about winning the division this year, which is what we are hoping for the Carolina Panthers, considering that there's besides Derek Carr, the only person to be hopeful for in this division is now Bryce Young and the Carolina Panthers. How can you not take veterans, be it 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, whatever? How can you expect a rookie quarterback to go in and not trust a guy like DJ Chark, Laviska Shenault? Again, I'm not saying that they signed Adam Thielen to a what, 3 or 4 year deal. Adam Thielen will be your guy. He will be your guy that Bryce Young is looking at when nobody else is open. Him and Hayden Hurst are going to be the go-to guys in this offense. But when it comes to deep threat, when it comes to building some relationship, when it comes to building a core for this offense, I didn't say they will. I say they could. Laviska Shenault and DJ Chark, to me, I am more hopeful for than anyone else in this offense. I mean, I would love to see Mingo come out and be. Listen, I'm a homer. I want to see Josh Van Demir Bird and Shi Smith on the field all at the same. I want to see the Gamecock wide receivers all on the field at the same time. I don't think it's going to happen, but I do think at some point this season we will see the former Jaguars AFC Championship receiving core, Laviska Shenault, DJ Chark, along with Adam Thielen in the slot, Hayden Hurst lined up at tight end, Miles Sanders in the backfield, Bryce Young on this side, and they're gonna run an offensive play together. The 5 of those skill players will be on the field at the same time. So we'll just have to agree to disagree. This has been a great debate.
If you believe that, it's fine.
Off the air,
hey,
listen.
It's May 17th. When October 17th rolls around, 5 months from now, are you going to admit you're wrong on the Cat Cave?
Are you going to admit that I was onto something when we see the depth chart?
I will have to. This is a bad idea.
Okay.
I will have to.
Whatever. We're running short on time. I didn't think we're going to be able to fill 30 minutes. We got one more bit of Panthers news here. There is said to be an open competition for the kick return and punt return duties. Now, they did not mention names, but there was an article that saw the guys practicing over in the kick return, punt return avenue, and some familiar names: running backs Raheem Blackshear and Chuba Hubbard, along with wide receivers Shi Smith, Laviska Shenault, and Demir Bird, all lined up for kick return, punt return duties. An open competition here. Now, you're going to have to be a skill player if they're going to trust you to return kickoffs and punts. So of these 5 guys named, who would you like to see returning kicks and punts this coming season?
After this debate we just had, I'd rather Shi Smith or Laviska Shenault return kicks and punts, because you know what that means? They're stuck on special teams and they don't have a prominent role in the Carolina Panthers offense, just like Jonathan Mingo will have. And if Shi Smith, I think they brought Shi Smith or Demir Bird in to eventually be the return guy. I think that's going to be one of their roles. But I like the open competition.
Yeah, Demir Bird was the return guy a few years ago when Cam Newton was still there. He is known for having speed. He was a speedy receiver in Carolina, South Carolina, that is. He was a speedy guy, and for all the teams he's played for. But again, he's got a problem staying healthy and getting the ball. So I truly think that Demir Bird will be your return guy this coming season, which is fine by me. I'd love to see Demir Bird return a kick or punt for a touchdown somewhere throughout the season. Michael, we're up against it real quick. I don't know if I want to waste the time on this today. You know what?
I said we can do a little promo for next week.
Yeah, that's a good idea, Michael. On the fly planning. Next week, we're going to discuss if one of us or both of us has a favorite Carolina Panther of all time, and maybe we'll have a little semi-discussion about who those players are. We'll save that for next week. For this week, we're not going to sign off quite yet. Michael, tell the folks where they can find you and your content.
Yeah, so the Drop the Mic Wrestling podcast dropped this afternoon at 2:00. We're going to talk about my live experience in Raw in Greensboro for Monday Night Raw with my buddy. And then I'll also be talking about some AEW and debuting a nice little gift to the show. Ryan already knows what that is, but you want to check that out on Tobacco Road Sports Radio's YouTube channel. And then this Friday, we're going to be live at 4:00. I have a lot of thoughts about John Morant, Doc Rivers. Doc Rivers might make another appearance on Out Pocket at 4 p.m. If you missed that, you got to go check it and see what I'm talking about. But Ryan, where can they find you?
Your guy Bully Rye, as I'm so finally called on my show, Tap Outs and Touchdowns. I'm on Twitter at Tap Outs and TDs, Facebook.com/Tap Outs and Touchdowns. We always talking wrestling once a week. We got the football shows on Thursday. Baker, Bill, and I will be discussing, possibly discussing how bad the USFL continues to be. We're going to be discussing the XFL championship game that took place this past weekend that allowed those last two teams' players to go and try out for some NFL teams. And we're going to, next week, I know on next week's wrestling show, we're going to dive into the career trajectory, if you will, of one Trish Stratus, the WWE Hall of Fame, one of the greatest women's champions of all time. But Michael, that's all the time we've got on this show. I hope you all have enjoyed the debate that Michael had about Carolina wide receivers coming into the season. I mean, they got plenty of them.
I
So
can't wait to hear the comments saying Michael was right. But
we can continue to speculate, but I digress. Hopefully you've enjoyed this week's Cat Cave. For Michael Davis, it's Ryan Frick, and we'll see you next week on the Cat Cave, a Carolina Panthers podcast presented by the Keep Pounding Podcast Network.